Mhm. I kept it open only. How? Make? Yeah. Okay. Hello students, good afternoon. So today, last time we have learned about what is communication and what is the importance of communication in the business organization. So today we are going to do it further. I hope you understood till there and you had a review of the same. Today we are going to start with listening skills. Today we are going to start with listening skills. So what is listening actually? So listening is an art. As speaking is an art, listening is an equally important art. And in the communication process, listening is as important as the speaking. Moreover, the percentage given to the listening process is 60%. That means in a communication process, 60% weightage is given to listening. So it becomes very important and integral part of communication. If you are a good listener, you will definitely be a good communicator, students. So if you develop this art, then you will become good communicators for sure. So it's not only the art of speaking, it is the art of listening which will make you good communicators. And as I told you, 60% weightage in the communication process goes to listening. The remaining 40% is distributed between reading, speaking, etc. Understood? So you can understand with the weightage given to listening how important and crucial it is to the communication process. Right? So today we are going to learn, in this chapter we are going to learn mostly about the importance of listening and how to make listening effective, as well as to adopt some listening techniques which will make our listening more emphatic and more we'll be able to understand it more effectively. So why listening is important? Can you tell me why listening is important? I mean, can you think about it? Why listening is important? Because without listening, how would you be able to understand what the other person wants to say? So listening is very, very important to communicate or to speak out something, because when you understand what the other person is speaking, when you understand, then only you can respond to him. So that is how the communication will get completed. So listening is very, very important. How it helps our personal relations, how listening helps communication and our personality development also. Listening improves our relationships with others. So if we are good listeners, what will happen? We will be able to understand others. If we are able to understand others, definitely our relations would be good with the others. If you are not listening to the other person, you will not be able to understand the other person, and so you will not become a good communicator. Then listening improves our knowledge. Because suppose if I am giving you a lecture and you are not listening to me properly, then what will happen? It is a wastage of your time. You will keep sitting and it would just be a wastage of time. Whereas if you will listen carefully, what will happen? If you will listen carefully, you will understand what I am telling you, which will help you to improve on your knowledge. So it is very important that if we listen properly, then only we will be able to improve our knowledge. Then listening improves our understanding. When we listen carefully to the other person, we will have an understanding towards him. We will give him an understanding response. Otherwise, our response would be a our response would be without any understanding, so it would be a false response. So it would not be a proper communication. The effectiveness of the communication will be shattered if we are not listening properly, because when we are not understanding and we are responding it in a false way or in a wrong way. Fine. So it is important to understand. It is important to give us knowledge. Then it prevents problems escalating. What will happen? Suppose you have a doubt on the other person, or I mean, there is some kind of a misunderstanding between you and the other person. If you talk to each other, you speak out your things, you listen to the other person, then you will be able to sort out the misunderstandings, or you will be able to, sort out the problems between you. Only if one person keeps on speaking and you are not able to, you are not listening to him and you just want to speak out your things, then what will happen? Again, misunderstandings will remain the same. Because, if you listen to the other person, then you will try to understand what he wants to convey, and then if he listens to you, he will understand what you want to convey, which will, what will happen? Both of you are listening to each other, so you are sorting out your problems between each other. So it is very important, dear students, to prevent the problems which can escalate, which can grow if there is misunderstanding. And misunderstanding will happen if one person keeps on blowing his own trumpet. That is, one person is keep on speaking, whereas the other person is not able to, one person is speaking, the other person is not listening, so the communication is incomplete. Listening saves time and energy. Here, if you are sitting and listening to my lecture, it means you are not wasting your time. It means you are saving your time, you are utilizing your time in a proper way. You are saving your energy. I am speaking, I am spending my energy, right? But you are gaining something only. You are gaining knowledge, and you are, you are also saving your energy, because while speaking only your energy is used. Then you can save money. You can save money, by listening and understanding the other person. It's like you don't have to, spend anything on it, so your money is saved definitely. There is no money that you have to spend to understand the other person and listen to the other person. And listening leads to better results. It means that if suppose you are listening to your teacher properly, you are listening to your parents properly, you are listening to your friends, your colleagues, your bosses, etc., etc., all the people associated with you, what will happen, dear students? You will be able to grow in your life. It will result into something making you, efficient human beings, because you have listened to so many people in your life, so you have understood all of them, and so you have been, nurtured in a proper way, and you have understood so many facts of life, and because you have listened to all these people, so you always will get better result in your life. If you don't listen to your teacher, will you be able to get a good score in the exam? No. If you listen to your teacher, you will get inputs into the subject, you will get a better understanding, which will enhance your result. Similarly, if you listen to your parents, you will get insights into the different things of life, into the right things of life, and the understanding of these things will help you to develop into a better human being. When you listen to your bosses in the company, then it will give you significant results, because you understand what the boss wants from you and you behave in that way, and it will help in the growth of you as well as the organization, right? So students, it is very, very important to be good listeners for an overall personality development, for developing knowledge, for enhancing our skills, for enhancing our understanding for others, for having good relations with others, and for becoming good human beings. Of course, being good communicators, because good listeners are always good communicators, students. And you can save money, because here it's a process where you don't require to shell in money, right? And definitely, a person who is a good listener will have an understanding for all the things, and he will be groomed into a better individual having good results in different aspects of his life. So now you can understand how listening is important to us and our personalities and our success, our career, everything. So I hope now you would be listening my lecture carefully after understanding the importance of listening, right? So we have to be good listeners. Now, what is hearing? Can you analyze the difference between hearing and listening? Is there any difference between hearing and listening? Okay, you are listening to me right away, but you can hear the sounds of some objects surrounding you, like the fan in your room, or the sound of AC, or the sound of some motors outside your home place where you are located. So you can hear them automatically. They come to your ears, though you don't want to hear them. Am I right? So that is hearing. But listening is something which you do with your own interest and concentration. Listening is a deliberate effort, whereas hearing is automatic. Hearing is something which comes automatically, so you hardly care about it, you ignore it. But listening is which you do with your own interest. Listening is which is guided by your mind. So you gain something out of listening. You don't gain anything out of hearing, but you gain something out of listening because it is a thing which you are doing with your own wish. It is guided. It is with concentration that you are listening. Understood? So you are listening music, but you can hear to the sound of a aeroplane moving at that time. Understood? So it is you want to listen to good orators. You want to listen to your teachers, your parents, but you can hear sounds of trains or vehicles moving by. Understood? So hearing is automatic, whereas listening is a deliberate effort. So to concentrate on hearing something or pay attention to is listening. So listening is paying attention to something. It is very, very important. Until or unless you pay attention to something, you will not be able to understand. Then it will become a ineffective listening, or it will be equal to hearing only. Understood? So don't hear my lecture, students. Please listen to it carefully and attentively. Attention is a very, very important aspect of effective listening. You may listen to me, but it can be effective only when you are concentrating or paying attention here. If you are diverted, you are listening, but you are, your mind is, okay, today evening I have to go with my friend for a movie. You are thinking that. So it is not effective listening. Effective listening only occurs when you are concentrating or paying attention to what I am saying. So students, always to become good listeners, you have to pay attention to the speaker. And so right away, pay attention here. So, sweet, tasty orange. If you are not paying attention, you may misinterpret me in different ways. Understood? So, when you are effectively listening to me, you will understand that the orange is not only tasty, but it is also sweet. If you are not listening effectively, you may forget one thing. You may not, you may understand that it is tasty, but you may not understand that it is sweet. Fine. So every word of what the speaker is saying is important, and you should pay heed to every word of the speaker. Every word of the speaker is very, very important. So listen very carefully to make the communication an effective one. Now, what could be the barriers to effective listening? As I told you, like we have, done some of the barriers of communication. What are the barriers of communication? The barriers to communications are like physical barriers we have talked about, socio-psychological barriers, cultural barriers, right? Language barriers. Similarly, in listening, we have the similar kind of barriers. We can have physical barriers, means if you are far apart, you are on phone talking to your friend, but there is a network problem. You are trying to listen to him, but you will not be able to listen because it is a physical barrier that because of the distance and because of using that you're not nearby, so you have to rely on phones, and if there is some congestion in the network, you will not be able to listen properly. Other barrier is like time. If if I I'm giving you this lecture which is of particular duration. If I keep on lecturing you for hours together, say 5 hours, would you be able to listen and pay attention to me? No, because after a couple of hours you'll get bored of one thing. See, everything we can retain up to a particular level in our minds. If we go beyond that level, we will not be able to retain those things, students. So it is important, time duration is also important. The speaker, we can concentrate on the speaker for a particular time. That is why in school and colleges, when we go, we have lectures of particular time durations, beyond which generally it is considered that we will not be able to retain or pay active attention. Understood? So time duration also plays a very important role in listening. Then there could be barriers like I told you, distance is a barrier, time can be a barrier. So these are some of the physical barriers which can come in the process of listening. Noise. If I'm talking to you right now and suppose some noise starts coming in between, there is some network problem and noise comes in between, what will happen? I am speaking here properly, you are trying to listen, but because of that noise coming in between, you are not able to hear me properly. So there is an interruption in the listening process. Though I am ready to speak, you are ready to listen, but there is some problem because of the noise, the interruption is there and you are facing a barrier. Effective listening would be hampered. Understood? So these can be barriers to effective listening. For this, we try to create situations where the other person would be able to listen with concentration and attention without having a, without having without having much disturbance from the outside world. We should try to be helpful to the others. Okay, fine, if some problem is coming, then try to sort it out in a way that the other person be able to listen and understand you properly. Seeing discussion as a competition, then distraction. You should, emotional triggers and all are very important, and they can be a big barrier to the listening process. If you are getting emotional for something, you may get diverted. You are very happy or you are very sad, you may not be able to pay attention to the speaker. So it is again a barrier to effective listening. So these are, if the speaker is using some words which are very difficult, red flag words, and which you are not able to understand. I mean, you are trying to listen, but then also you will not be able to understand. So students, at this time it also becomes a barrier to listening. Then gap searching. Gap means the speed at which the speaker is trying to speak and the speed at which the listener is trying to listen. There is a little difference, or a gap is created between the speed of speaking and the speed of listening, which creates a barrier. So when the speaker is trying to speak, he should see to it that he is speaking keeping the listener in mind and understanding that the listener, how much the listener would be understand with that speed. So maintaining your speed according to the understanding of the receiver is very, very important. Otherwise it would create a barrier in the listening process. So if the gap is built, if the gap is bridged between the speaker and the listener. For example, the speed at which I am speaking right now, if it matches your speed of understanding, or you are able to listen to me properly and understand me properly, then the gap is bridged and so the communication will be effective. But if either my speed, I'm speaking too fast, or if you are listening very slow, means you are little diverted somewhere else, then there would be a communication gap between us. So that becomes a barrier to the listening process. So it is very, very important to be active listeners and pay attention totally to the speaker, and the speaker should also pay attention. Consider it important to maintain the speed according to the understanding level of the learner. Fine. So these are the different barriers to effective listening, and one should take care to overcome these barriers. Both the speaker and the listener should try to overcome them in order to make the communication effective. I hope you understood. So I'll just repeat it once, like there shouldn't be interruption. When you are listening, you should listen carefully. Don't get diverted. Try to be helpful to each other. I mean, helpful means when the speaker is speaking, don't interrupt the speaker in between. Pay attention to the speaker. Motivate the speaker by being very sincere to the speaker. If you keep on distracting him by, speaking in between, interrupting him in between, making funny faces, or, kind of, some silly remarks in between, so it is that you are disturbing the speaker. He may forget something to tell you. He may not give the proper output which he wants. So try to be helpful to the speaker. Keep an empathy to the speaker so that he is able to give his proper output to you and you are able to understand it properly. Don't be diverted. Listen attentively. Then, seeing discussions as competitions. Don't see discussions as fights. If you are discussing something with someone, see it as a competition. Face it as a competition. Don't get affected by any emotional things at the time of listening. Only focus on the listening process. Keep your worries, fears, anxieties, joys, sorrows away from the process of communication. Understood? Because if you will be entangled with your emotions, then you will not be able to become good communicators. You will suffer from a deviation or a distractive attention, because of which you may not be able to focus on what is there. Understood? So it is very, very important to be effective listeners, and gap searching is important for the speaker as well as for the listener. The speaker should maintain the speed with which the listener understands, and the listener should pay attention to grasp the complete message of the speaker. So I hope you understood the barriers and how to overcome them. Now we proceed to simple listening techniques. How can we become good listeners? So it's very simple to become good listeners. Most important thing to become good listener is to develop an empathy for the speaker. What is empathy? Keeping yourself in her or his shoes. So by doing that, you will not insult the speaker. You will not interrupt the speaker. He will be able to give you the proper knowledge of whatever he wants to convey, the proper message of whatever he wants to convey. And then, when you are listening, listen only for understanding the message. Don't interrupt the speaker. Let the speaker finish. Concentrate on what he is saying. Make notes if possible. If it is a long lecture, for example, right now I am giving you one lecture. So, of some important points, if you note them down, suppose what will happen after the lecture is winded. So, you may remember some things, but there are some things which you may tend to forget. So, it is very, very important that in a long duration speech or a lecture, you keep a paper and pen with you to write the important points, so that when the speech or the lecture is over, after that you can review it based on those points. So this is also a quality of a good listener, to write important points in between. Then show the speaker that you are listening. If you make gestures or you make posture as if you are disinterested or you are not listening, it will distract the speaker. He may feel little distracted seeing your response, and because of which he may feel little uncomfortable in giving his message. Whatever his knowledge is, he will not be able to share it fully. He'll be distracted somehow. So it is very, very important not to interrupt the speaker, keeping the things in mind, all these things in mind. To become active listeners, what you will do? You will concentrate on the speaker. You will not interrupt him in between. You will motivate him by being very sincere, and you will try to concentrate to the fullest, keeping your emotions away from you at that time, and writing important points if it is a detailed lecture or a speech, and showing the speaker that you are taking interest, which will be very motivating for the speaker. Understood, students? So please maintain all these things when you are listening something. Right now also, be active listeners to get a complete grasp of the topic. Am I right? Now, next we go to question. check the understanding. I mean, for this is important for the speaker that he should keep on asking questions to the listeners to understand or get the feedback of the listeners, because feedback is very, very important. If I don't ask questions and I keep on speaking and I don't know what is your feedback, then also it is not good. So feedback also is important for checking the understanding of the listeners, how much they have understood. Based on their response, I can proceed further. So this is also very important to check the understanding of the receivers. Then summarizing the thing. Suppose, for example, right now I am explaining you listening skills. So once I explain you the entire thing, at the end I should summarize it in few points, so that a brief overview is given to you at the end, which will make things imprinted in your brain and which will help you in the further understanding and enhancement of the knowledge which I have delivered to you. Understood, students? So these are the simple listening techniques: paying attention, not disturbing the speaker, and respecting the speaker. Speaker should question what speaker should do? He should question the receiver, and the speaker should also keep on summarizing whatever he is speaking, so that at the end he is able to give a brief overview of whatever he has spoken for a further enhancement of understanding of the listeners. So this is simple listening technique. You can write the important points: listen, question, and summarize. I would like you to write these important points. Excuse me. So please write the important points: listening, questioning, and summarizing. Then, so these are the important listening techniques which we need to, follow. And this is all about listening skills. So I hope from today you will try to become good listeners. You will try to follow. You will try to follow all these things when you are listening to someone else. Giving feedback is also very important. Give a very true feedback that you have understood or not. Based on that, the speaker will be able to communicate his message to you. So if you are not, understanding properly, you will not be able to give a feedback. If you are not giving the feedback, the listening will be incomplete. So listening is perceiving, understanding, and giving an understanding response. It is a 3-step process: perceiving, understanding, and giving a understanding response. All these are the different parts of a listening process. Listening, it occurs in a fraction of second, but there are so many things which happen to our mind. While listening, you are perceiving my words, you are trying to understand them, analyze them, and you are trying to give a understanding response, which is very, very important. So this is about listening skills, and I hope you understood the importance of listening in a communication process. And from today, you are going to follow some important tips of effective listening. Be attentive. Don't interrupt the speaker. Respect the speaker. Be away from your emotions. Be very attentive and give a feedback. And when you become good listeners, you will become very good knowledgeable persons, because listening will enhance your understanding and elaborate your knowledge, which will help you to become overall refined individuals, having a lot of knowledge and always having good relations with others. Because by listening, you will always understand others properly. And when you will understand others properly, your relations would be strong. So from today, we all promise to become good listeners, so that in the future time when you proceed for good careers in companies, you become good listeners, have good relations with other employees, to your seniors, and get a lot of understanding and knowledge on different areas and subjects of life. Thank you, students, about listening. I hope you have understood, and we proceed to the next chapter now. So the next chapter is about presentation skills, And the agenda of the chapter is understanding the importance of presentation skills, body language, perfect PowerPoint presentation, the use of flip charts and whiteboards, dealing with questions and interruptions, facing your fears, and how to go about in your presentation. I mean, how to move forward and what to speak next. So presentation skills are very, very important in grooming your personalities and a very important aspect of business communication. And now as you are going to, get into your career, you have to nurture your presentation skills because you will be getting many opportunities where you will have to present yourself, and you will have to present on various topics your knowledge. So it is very important to get a brief overview of what is how presentation skills have to be nurtured in ourselves and how they are going to help us in our career growth. Now, what makes a good presentation? Good presentation can be made when, first of all, when the company should see that if they have to get a presentation done on a particular topic, they should form a group of like-minded colleagues, employees. That means like who are working at the same level, they can be divided into groups, and then a good presentation can be made, because when a group is working together, a lot of ideas would be generated and exchanged, and which will help them to prepare a good presentation. Sometimes to think about presenter, resources and structure. These are the important things which a presentation maker should keep in mind. Who is the presenter? What are the resources with you? Do you have a computer connection, a proper audio-visual lab, or a proper audio-visual technique is there for you to present your things properly? What are the resources with you? And of course, the structure of that particular thing what you are presenting. Now, feedback. Feedback is a very, very important aspect of presentation, students, because if you don't have a proper feedback, then you will not understand that whatever you are presenting is understood by your receivers. If you are not able to present your ideas properly, you are not a good presenter. How you will know that you are presenting your ideas properly or not? It is through feedback. So feedback is very, very important and very crucial to the success of a presentation. If I am giving one presentation, I should check it by the feedback of the audience or the receivers. What is their feedback? How much they have understood or not? Depending on that, I can proceed further. Because if I don't get the feedback, how do I know that I am able to present my idea properly or not? If I am not able to present my idea properly, depending upon the feedback, I may review it again, or maybe I may explain it further. If I think that yes, the response is positive, then I will go ahead. So it is important to get the feedback for an effective presentation. What are the ways through which you can make your presentation successful? The ways through which you can make your presentation successful, first is preparation. Preparation is very, very important. Then there has to be a key message for your presentation. Key message is the basic thing for which you are doing your presentation. Then learn about your audience. What kind of people you are going to present to? What is their level? Are they at a very higher level or at a lower level? You have to match their level in the presentation. If they are at a very lower level and you prepare a high level presentation, they will not be able to understand. Your high level is useless. And if they are at a very high level and you prepare a very low level presentation, then these people at the high level will not be able to understand you. They will think, what you have prepared, we know all these things. Understood? So you need to understand the level of your audience. The level of your audience will make you analyze how you have to prepare your presentation. Time is very important. You have to keep the time frame in mind. If I have to give this lecture in 1 hour, I will have to prepare my PPT and my lecture accordingly. and I should not exceed the time limit, or I should not, shorten the time limit. For example, if my time limit is 1 hour, if I complete it in half an hour, it means I have, tried to shorten the information somewhere. I've tried to cut short some of the information or knowledge which should be given to you. If I try to exceed it more, it will become monotonous for you. You may find it difficult to understand, right? So time is also very important. Time discipline in presentation should be obeyed. Then we go to resources. What resources are we having? Are we having audiovisual facilities? Are we having proper computer, proper internet connection, mics and everything through which we need to give a presentation? If we are, lacking in some of the aids, we may switch on to some other things to give the presentation. So we should know what resources we are having. Based on those resources only, we should try to prepare the presentation accordingly. Understood? So if I am not having a computer, I will prepare a presentation by the use of charts, etc. Understood? So I should know what resources I am having, and based on that I can prepare my presentation, and then only it will be successful. If I am not aware of the resources and I prepare the presentation in that way, it will be useless. Because without the resources, how I would be able to deliver it? For example, right now I am delivering online presentation to you about presentation skills, right? So for this I require the online connection, you all to be there, and the cameras and proper audiovisual setup, mic, etc. If I don't have these facilities, I will not be able to deliver my lecture. So though I have prepared my PPT, but it cannot be delivered because of the lack of resources. So first, before preparing my lectures, I should see to it what are the resources available to me. Do I have the camera? Do I have the proper internet connection? Do I have audiovisual setup? If I have all these things, I can then prepare my presentation accordingly. So understanding of the resources is also very, very important. Then closing of the topic. See, as it is said, well begun is half done. Similarly, well ended is completely done. Understood? So when you complete, or towards the end of your presentation, if you become, at the closing of your presentation, you should be very much, skillful at that time. You should try to review the entire presentation in short. At the end, you should try to ask questions, interrogate from the audience, try to take their feedback, and conclude your presentation properly. If you don't conclude your presentation and just abruptly end it, okay, this is the end and thank you. So this is not done. It will be abrupt ending. At the end, again, for 2-3 minutes, you should review the entire thing which you had spoken about. After that, you should ask questions to your audience, and you should also, welcome questions from them, so that you get a feedback from them, how much they have understood and what are the doubts they are having, so that you are able to solve them, and so that they are able to get the understanding of your things properly. This is the way how you end your presentation. So at the end of the presentation, conclude it in brief, ask questions, welcome questions, and then complete it. This is the way of ending a presentation. Don't abruptly complete your presentation, otherwise it would be half done. Right? So these are the important things in the preparation of the presentation: understanding your resources, presenting your presentation according to the time frame, closing your presentation properly, understanding the key message, and of course preparing before you give it. Because if you go unprepared, then you will be caught at some places. If you go unprepared, then you can have lack of confidence in front of the audience. You may forget some things. You may be, little confused, which will give a negative impression to the audience. So it is better, before you give your presentation, prepare it so that you get a proper confidence of conveying your presentation to the audience. I hope you understood the preparation. So now, whenever you have to prepare a presentation, what you will do? Yes, of course, you will First of all, understand the resources present where you have to give the presentation. You will take care of the time frame, and based on that you will prepare the presentation, but understand the basic reason for which you are giving that presentation. The key message is very, very important, and it has to be emphasized in your presentation. And at the end, my students, you should conclude it by reviewing it for some minutes and welcoming and asking questions. Being interactive is very, very important. So this is how you will accomplish a successful presentation. I hope you would now work on a presentation to see, and when you prepare a presentation, incorporate all these things and see what kind of a presentation you are going to prepare after that. Now, structuring your presentation. The structure of your presentation is also very, very important. So as you can see, the structuring is done on these three bases. You should first of all give an introduction. Introduction about the key message, which the main thing about which you are going to give the presentation, that is introduction. So in the introduction, you have to properly explain about the topic which you are going to talk about. Then comes information. In information, you are going to discuss in detail about the different points regarding that particular topic. Understood? So, the information part is the most detailed and comprehensive part of your presentation. It should be done very logically, reasonably, and it should be proceeded following the time frame in mind, as well as in a very logical fashion, in a regular order. Because if you are not, not logical in the way you state your presentation or give your presentation, then there can be confusions arising from it. So it is important to make it orderly, to make it presentable, to make it interactive, and the information by giving examples including pictures, charts, maps, graphs in your presentations to make your information more presentable. And last but not the least is the recap, which I told you, the close of your presentation. Recap is very, very important. I just end my presentation, my lecture, and I say thank you students. I don't review it. Then what will happen? You may forget many things, but once at the end when I will review it again, then you will be able to have an overview of the entire chapter again in a brief way. So recap is important, and after it is a part of the recap section only that you welcome questions from the audience in the recap round, where you brief them and then you tell them to ask questions so that you will be able to understand their doubts. And when you are able to understand their doubts, you will be able to respond to them and clear their doubts to make them understand the thing completely and properly. Prepare everything you need in advance. All the things which you require in your presentation should be prepared and updated. Suppose you require some data, go and collect the data, make the data graphs, charts, etc. Make them very specific on your presentation. Go and check up the setup before you are going to give the presentation, that everything is ready and right in place. The computer, the camera, the mic, the audio-visual setup, display, whatever you are requiring is there before the presentation starts. Because if you just go at the time of presentation and there are some things which are missing, then you will be into a total confusion and chaos. So it is important to, before the presentation only, prepare everything. See that everything is in place. Prepare your presentation properly. It should be complete in every aspect. Introduction, information, recap, everything should be perfect. Pictures, posters, graphs, maps, charts, whatever you are pasting in your presentation should be authentic, based on the right sources and relevant to the information which you are giving. Don't put useless examples or useless pictures which are not relevant to your presentation. Make it complete in every aspect. Whatever topic you are going to present, see that you are trying to cover each and every area of that topic. See that you are covering all the important parameters of that topic. See that you are making it impressive and interactive by adding pictures, graphs, etc. Adding data which should be authentic. Also check the level of the group of people whom you are giving the presentation to. If they are low level, prepare the presentation accordingly. If they are high level, prepare it accordingly. Check on the day that everything works. Now, the day when your presentation is there. For example, today my online lecture was there with you. So before I come here, at least today itself, before the lecture timing is scheduled, I should come and see before, well in time, I should come and I should see the setup and everything is ready, so that at the time when the presentation is going to be done, there shouldn't be any problem arising. Fine, students. So structuring of your presentation is very important, and for this you should divide it into introduction, information, and recap it with the help of question answer techniques, as well as briefing the entire thing or summarizing the entire thing which you have presented. Hope you understood till here. Fine. Now practice. So have you heard the famous quote? Practice makes the man perfect. So for perfection, practice is required, my dear students. Right? So if you want to get perfection on your presentation, perfection is where you get the confidence to speak properly. When you are able to give your entire knowledge, where you are able to deliver your entire knowledge properly, and you are not hesitant in front of the people, where you are ready to answer any question asked by the people or your audience, and where you have practiced that if the duration of time is this much, then your session would end at that time. This is what is practice. Because if you don't do the practice, you may end up spending more time, or maybe you may complete very much before time. So then what will happen? It will be a problem for you, because you have to obey the time frame. Then gets you used to being in front of an audience. Practice so that when you are standing in front of the audience, you don't feel hesitant or nervous or kind of afraid, fear. Public speaking you should practice, because there is a fear. Generally, if I am speaking alone, I will not be feared. But when I am in front of the public, a fear comes. This is something practical, and nervousness will come. So, how you can come out of it? It is by constant practice. So, practice public speaking. Public speaking is speaking in front of small public. And, from now onwards, for example, when you are in your school or colleges, what you can do in front of your classmates, in front of your group, you can keep on, giving presentations. So what will happen? Your fear will come out of you. Your nervousness will be removed. You will get the confidence of speaking in front of the public. Understood? So the time is now. Start practicing from now. Okay, if you don't have if you are scared and speaking in front of your class or your classmates also, take your friends. Take 3-4 friends and speak in front of them. Take your family members, 3-4 family members, sit in front of present in front of them. Gradually increase the size of the audience. From friends and from family members to your classmates. From class to your school, and then gradually your level would increase. And gradually what you will feel, my dear students, gradually you will feel that you are getting out of that hesitation, you are getting out of that nervousness, which you were facing initially. Even when you were speaking in front of 4 people, you were nervous. But now when you are speaking in front of 40 people also, you are not nervous, because it is this practice which has groomed you. Because of this practice, now you are no more hesitant. You have the confidence, and because of the confidence, you are able to deliver your knowledge perfectly. Are you getting me? So practice is very important. Before going for a presentation, practice over it. Practice will give you a complete understanding of the subject. Practice will give you confidence. Practice will give you, time discipline, time management, and practice will give you the idea of being in front of an audience. So, practice makes a man perfect. Again, I'll repeat. Practice makes a man perfect. So my students, my dear students, you will have to practice for your presentations and the time is now. So start practicing from today. Wherever you are in small groups, start preparing on some topics of your interest. Prepare presentations according to the resources you have. Prepare small presentations but prepare them meaningful, interactive. Share them with small group of people you know and gradually vary the group sizes to bigger groups and you will see that you are getting out of your hesitation and nervousness. And this is how you will refine your presentation skills. I hope you understood till here and you're getting interested in it. Now, giving the presentation. How to give the presentation? It is a very important technique, my dear students. And many people may have the knowledge of the subject, but there are only a few who will have the ability to present it properly. So, knowledge can be gained by so many people, but the ability to deliver that knowledge properly is which is there only in a few. Understood? So, you should know how to deliver your message. Your posture is important, the way you are standing in front of the public. If you give arrogant or egoistic gestures like putting your hands in your pocket or, slouching down or, disinterested postures, then, it will give a very indifferent look to your audience. They will feel that you are not confident. They will feel that you don't know the subject and they will be disinterested in your presentation. So posture is important. The tone of voice is very, very important. If your tone is not proper, if your voice is not audible to the audience will be disinterested in your lecture or in your presentation. I'm sorry. Because, you have to maintain the tone according to the subject and the voice according to the crowd. So, keeping in mind the crowd, I will have to raise or lower my voice. And the tone has to match the mood of the subject. What kind of a subject I am going to speak about? Is it a political statement? I will have to be very vociferous. I will have to be very with lot of energy, lot of vociferousness. I will have to deliver it. Is it about something emotional? I will have to be soft in my tone. Understood? So whatever I am presenting, the tone has to match it. The subject should match the tone, otherwise it will become quite weird and the audience will not get a interest in the presentation. Then don't rush. You should never rush to the conclusion. Okay, fine, this is this, this is this, this is that, and thank you. No, this is not the way of giving the presentation. You should very slowly, steadily, progressively, from the beginning to the end, explain each and every point of your presentation to the audience. Definitely, you have to keep the time frame in mind, but according to that also, you have to be very slow and steady. Rushing to the conclusions will not make any sense of your presentations. You will be considered as mispresenters or, very ineffective presenters. People may misinterpret you, people may mock at you, people may not understand you, people will never want to listen to you again. There could be so many interpretations of your presentation. So it is how you make the audience give the interpretation by the way you are delivering your presentation. So never rush. In your presentation, if you start rushing, being very fast and jumping to the conclusion, then you will never be able to entangle the interest of the audience. You will never be able to enhance the understanding of the audience and practically they will not be interested in your presentation. So never rush, but slow and steady wins the race. Hope you understood again. Then warm up. Warm up is very, very important. Before you go for a presentation, you need to warm up. Warm up will help you in relaxing yourself, will help you to be heard, will help you to be sounding more confident. Because warm up will give you a lot of energy inside you. It will, generate and, preserve energy inside you, which will help you while you are giving the presentation. Because if you have you've done a warm up before your presentation session, then that energy will be there inside you, and that energy will be reflected when you are giving your presentation. Also, when you warm up, it will help you to, relax you mentally. And when you are mentally relaxed, you will be able to give the maximum output you have. So, students, it is very important that, the people or your audience should, hear you. Your audience should understand you. They should know what you are speaking. So, warm up, do a little warm up means little exercise of the presentation before you go and give your presentation. Try to speak, because you are going to give the presentation, try to do exercise of your vocal cords, how you have to speak, what tone you have to manage, what pitch you have to keep, how your voice should be. So these all warm up exercises are very, very important before you actually go to speak, because at that time then you will be able to deliver it properly. Then one thing which is suggested for a good presentation or for a good speech or anything, if you are going to speak for a, say, average 40 to 45 minutes also on something, or say average half an hour also, then it is very, very important before you start your speech or before you start your presentation, you do a deep breathing exercise. You do a deep breathing which will help you to get positive vibes in you, get energy current within you, and at least a count of 5, at least a count of 5 to 10 is important. Deep breaths. Take 5 to 10 deep breaths before you are practically going to deliver your presentation. How it will help? It will give you a mental relaxation. It will enhance your vocal activity. Deep breathing will give you confidence. It will, it will conserve a lot of energy inside you. So, positivity, energy, exercise of your vocal cords, relaxation of mind. There are so many things which will happen by deep breathing. Confidence gaining. So please practice deep breathing before you go to give your presentation, and you will feel the difference while you are giving the presentation. Try this time. Take 5 to 6 deep breaths before you go for any speaking session, and you see how well you feel and how well you do your session. And through deep breathing our vocal cords are warmed up, which will help in a proper audibility to the audience. Then some tongue twister exercises are also important. What will happen when we practice the tongue twisters? It will help in clarity of our voice. If I practice some tongue twisters before my presentations, I will never be overlapping the words. I will be very clear in whatever I'm speaking. My pronunciations will be very clear and understandable. Tongue twisters will make my voice and my words very clear to the audience. So, and yawn, so that all your tiredness, fatigue, anxiety, and negative energies go away with your yawning. Don't yawn in between your presentation, but yawn before the presentation. Because if you yawn before the presentation, all your negative energies, anxieties, troubles, everything will go away before the presentation starts. Understood? So, at the time of the presentation, please see to it that at the time of the presentation, you are fresh. So, you can get fresh by warming up, by doing deep breathing exercises, by yawning before the presentation, and by practicing some tongue twisters. I have here some tongue twisters for you. You can write these tongue twisters, and they will help you, and they will help you in, you practice these tongue twisters, and they will help you in getting a clarity of voice the next time you speak in the presentation. Understood? So practice these tongue twisters. Here is a list of tongue twisters for you. The first one is, please speak with me. Wherever you're sitting, please speak with me. Unique New York. Unique New York. She sells seashells by the seashore. The shells that she sells are seashells, I'm sure. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Peter Piper picked a peck of picked peppers. Rubber buggy baby bumpers. See, when you speak them, you will see that there is some kind of a, voice clarification you are getting. So when you keep on practicing these tongue twisters, there would be the clarity of your words will become more significant. You will be able to speak out the things more clearly. Especially before going for a presentation, practice these tongue twisters. Let us repeat these tongue twisters again. Unique New York. See, now you can get little confused, but when you practice them again and again, the clarity will be there on your tips. She sells seashells by the seashore. The shells that she sells are seashells, I'm sure. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Peter Piper picked a pack of picked peppers. Rubber buggy baby bumpers. So right now you can practice it with a very slow speed, but gradually increase your speed of speaking these tongue twisters, and you will see that even if your speed is increased, the clarity of the voice is same, which will help in the clarity of your words at the time of presentation. So I would like you to have have these list of tongue twisters with you and practice them later on. It is I'm very serious students. This is the tongue twisters is a very best exercise, one of the most important exercise. Even when you go for accent training and vocal training programs, these tongue twisters are you are given these practice of these tongue twisters to help clarify your voice clarity and your sounds of the words which you are speaking. Now, giving the presentation. At the time of the presentation, what all things you have to take care? First of all, it is your appearance, what speaks. So appearance is very, very important. So wear clothing which is suitable to the occasion. Wear some formals but which should be very comfortable and appropriate. If you are uncomfortable with your dress, it will be revealed in your posture, in your gestures, and it will diminish your confidence, and which will have an impact on your audience. So clothing is important. Wear proper clothes which should be formal as well as suiting the occasion as well as comfortable to you, so that you are not feeling any kind of a distraction because of your clothing. Then maintaining eye contact is very, very important. If I don't look at my audience and I keep looking here, there like this, so then what will happen? The audience will not pay attention to me. Understood? So it is very, very important that you maintain an eye contact with your audience, because if you maintain your eye contact, you are trying to maintain their what in you? Maintain their attention in your presentation. Through the eye contact you are making to them, you are grabbing their attention. Understood? So you are able to grab their attention by maintaining eye contact with them. Then use notes if you need them. Then think about when to use handouts. Understood? So in between the presentation, if you have some kind of handouts with you, you can distribute the handouts to the students for the better understanding. Then you can have your own notes in between to refer, some important points. At the time of presentation, you might forget some details of some important points, which you can write simultaneously as notes. And if you tend to forget something, you can refer to those notes. It's not like every time looking into that notes and and speaking. The note should only be referred at a certain point of time in between when you tend to forget some important information and you feel that you can refer to your notes, but not always. Now, your PowerPoint. Do you have an idea about PowerPoint? Right now what I'm giving you is a PowerPoint presentation. So in the PowerPoint there are slides. So you can prepare the different slides based on the different topics of your presentation, and you can number the slides in a very logical way. You number them logically in a logical order. You can divide your topics into various categories and subcategories, and according to that you can manage your presentation. Depending upon the time frame you have, manage the number of slides in your presentation. And see that in your PowerPoint, these are the things which you will have to, inculcate in your PowerPoint. And we are going to have an overview of all these things. First is portability. It should be flexible, professional. You can add graphics, pictures, understood, graphs, maps, charts, colors, posters, and a lot of examples to your presentation to make it lively and more effective. Understood? Make it very clear. Don't make it very hazy and very kind of, bulked with too much words. There's very little picture and a lot of words in very small font size. It will not be, or it will not be, understandable by your speaker. Understood, students? So it is very important to maintain the clarity of your presentation. Then you can use handouts in between, as I told you. Then you have to be very professional in your approach. Whatever is, written on the PowerPoint, they should just be the, headings of those things. You don't have to write the complete details of the things in that. You just write the headings and you explain those topics in your own words. Like for example, right now I'm giving you the PowerPoint presentation. So I have told you the important points of a PowerPoint. The points are written here, but the details of them I'm explaining to you. I'm not writing the details here. Because if I write the details here, it will become very compact. And what will happen? It will become compact, then it will become very unmeaningful. You will not be able to understand what is there on the slide. Are you getting my point? So it is very, very important that we make it very professional, very clear, and portable, as well as you can add graphics and handouts to it. Graphics, maps, posters, charts, colors, pictures, examples, case studies, anything you can add to your presentation to make it more illustrative, more interactive, more understandable, and of course more interesting. Fine. So you can write down these good points once. You can briefly write the important points written here. Then we go to the bad points. Bad points depends on technology, lack of audience contact, can't add to it, overcrowded. As I told you, if your presentation becomes too much worded, lot of words and completely packed, then it is very disinteresting. Then if it is having a lack of audience contact, it means either your font size is very small, all the words are too many, all the pictures are too small that the audience cannot view it, then what is the use of such kind of a presentation? Then, of course, PowerPoint depends on technology, so see that the computer which you are choosing should have that feature where you can present that PowerPoint presentation. It is suitable to that version of your PowerPoint presentation. Otherwise, technology can ditch you at the end moment, also mind it. So please check the version that it is matching to that computer. Overcrowded, don't make it overcrowded, that is, don't make it too much worded. Fine. So I hope you understood the good points and bad points of a PowerPoint presentation. Now look at this slide. So are you able to see what is written here? Definitely not. So it is a bad PowerPoint presentation. Though I have made pictures also, I have written many things here, but I hope no one is able to see. So this is a wrong. This is a bad presentation, where I am putting so many pictures, where I am adding animation and graphics, where I am using words, but nothing you can view from it, because my words are very small, because my pictures are not speaking anything, and are you able to understand something? No, I am not able to understand anything out of this thing. So please choose the font size of the words which is properly visible, and the pictures according to the proper size, which is which the audience can view properly, and also see that it is not too much worded, otherwise it will become ununderstandable. Now there are some public speaking tips which I want to discuss about. One is breathe deeply. Take at least 5 to 6 sets of deep breath before you go for a presentation. Take your time. Before you go for a presentation, at least half an hour before, you should be calm, relax. Relax your mind mentally. You should be free of worries and anxieties. And as the presentation proceeds, you should proceed through the presentation in a very slow and steady way. Test the microphone. The speaker through which you are going to speak, test it before you are actually delivering your lecture. Because if you don't test the microphone, then problems can arise. Because if you are not testing your microphone, what will happen when you are giving the presentation? At that time, it is not working, so the audience are not able to listen to you. So a total confusion would be created. So don't do that. Keep on smiling. It's not like over smiling that you're doing like this every time. No, don't do that. Because, smile is keep your face charming and smiling, but, don't keep it long face like this, or don't keep it over smiling. Be balanced. PowerPoint tips are, look at the audience, not the slides. You have to look more at the audience. Only focus on the main points, see the main points, and then look at the audience. It's not like every time peeping into the slides. Only understanding the main points, reading them, and then explaining each and every point, looking at the audience. So eye contact with the audience is very, very important. You take one point from the presentation, you go to the presentation, you look at that point, but then look at the audience to explain that point. So this is very important to manage a proper eye contact with the audience. Then pay attention to the color and layout. What color and what layout you are giving to your slides. If it is not a proper color and not a proper layout, then what will happen? The audience will become disinterested. They will not be able to take interest in what you are speaking. So this is again very important to pay proper attention to the color and layout. Print out the slides. So printing out the slides means whatever is there on your presentation, you should have in hand also. So in case, suppose your PowerPoint is relying on technology. If the technology fails, suppose light goes in between or something wrong happens with the camera or your computer, then what? Then your presentation would be stuck up. Understood? So in that case, the handouts or the printout of the slides which you have will be helpful for accomplishing the presentation. Right? So keep as a backup, keep the printout of slides with you. Test beforehand. Before the presentation starts, test your entire setup. Test the mechanism, test the devices and all, whatever are required for the presentation are there or not. If you find something is missing, something completed before the presentation. See, everything is perfect and working. All the internet connections, computer, mobiles, microphones, everything, whatever you require for your presentation is working. And even, we test many times, but sometimes in between it fails because it is technology, so you cannot rely on it. But we try to use the best technology to overcome these hurdles. But even if after that we are facing with some hurdles, then what we can do is we keep a backup in the form of printout of that presentation, so that even if the technology fails, we are there to complete the presentation, right? So keep a backup. Flip charts and whiteboards are very good, because they will make your presentation more impactful. So flip charts, good points is they're easy to add to, more contact. You will have, you will be able to manage more contact with the audience, and they are more interactive. But flip charts are like you use once and then you cannot use it again. You can't add graphics to the flip chart. Can be hard to read and hard to see. Whatever big flip chart you are preparing, but it can be hard to see. So flip charts are useful in between. In between your PowerPoint presentation, you can use flip charts, means small charts you can prepare which have pictures and related words on them about some particular topic of your presentation, but they are not very much reliable also, because however big you make, they would not be as clear as an audio visual, because you cannot be able to prepare such a big flip chart. Understood? So it is important Yeah, they are good, but they have their certain limitations. Bad points is they can only be used once. You can't add graphics to it. You can't, it can be hard to read and it can be hard to see. Understood? Because I told you it cannot be as big as a screen. So sometimes it is not visible. Sometimes it is, very much hard to read from a flip chart. Understood? So, and one flip chart if you have made, you can only use it once. You cannot use it again and again, right? And you cannot add graphics to it. So these are some of the drawbacks of a flip chart. The tips are: don't hide, draw lines if required, pay attention to the color. What color you are using, what layout you are using is very important for your flip chart. Call ahead to check on the facilities. Stick on a few key points. Dealing with questions. Now, my dear students, this is a very, very important aspect of presentations, dealing with the questions. You should give enough time at the end of your presentation to your audience for asking their doubts and questions, because it is very important for your presentation to be successful to make their queries satisfied. So at the end of your presentation, whatever questions and doubts they have, you should welcome that, and you should with lot of patience and wait and wisdom answer those questions, which will make your presentation actually successful. So the various techniques which we need to know for dealing with questions. First is, questions show that people are listening. When they are asking question, it means they have listened to you. If they are not asking you questions, it means they were not listening to you. Allow them time to deal with. You should give some time at the end of your presentation for this question answers technique. Then decide when to answer them. Try and anticipate. Understand the things. Don't be afraid to stop and think. If someone has asked you a question, don't give a hasty response. Okay, he has asked me a question, I should immediately reply to him. No, you should not do that. When he's asking you a question, when he or she is asking you a question, understand it first. Give some time and then respond. In that way, you will be able to give the proper answers or proper solutions to their questions, or you will be able to satisfy their queries properly. So see that you manage to complete your presentation in time, and last couple of minutes you have for question answers, so that audience are asking questions to you and you are able to answer them with relaxed mind. Because if time is not left, you will try to answer the questions in haste. Then what will happen if you are answering the questions in haste? Then you will not be able to satisfy the audience. Right? So please don't be afraid to stop and think about what you have to answer, because thinking is very, very important. Thinking will give us the understanding of what we are going to answer, right? Now, what if I don't know the answer? Sometimes it can happen that the audience has asked you a question and you are not able to answer it. You are not finding what to answer him. In that case, what to do? Don't get embarrassed with it. Don't feel hesitant about it. Open it to the floor. Ask the other students, other people sitting there. Take details and, kind of manipulatively manage to answer it later. After, okay, let me ask the audience who knows the answer. Can anyone of you tell me? So try to, manipulate the situation in a way that the audience don't feel that you don't know, and you're trying to get the answer, or you're trying to give him the answer little later. Repeat the question back if you don't understand it. Sometimes if someone has asked you a question and you are not able to understand that question properly, in that case what you can do, you ask the audience or that particular person or the receiver to ask you that question back, and when he is asking you that question back, in that case you will be able to answer that person properly, because you will be able to understand the question in that case. So, my dear students, question answers technique is very important and crucial to the to the successful accomplishment of a presentation. So it has to be very much witty, it has to be with lot of patience, and it has to be given some time to complete. Question and answer session has to be given some time. Now next is, in a PPT or in a presentation, one has to face his fears. First fear is of nervousness. When you see a crowd of people in front of you, you get little hesitant, you become nervous. Whatever is there in your mind, it gets washed away just because of the fear of public speaking. So write your fears and write them on a paper, see them again and again, check them again and again. Understood? Write your fears, make them printed. So you can go through those fears again and again. When you will understand that, yes, this is my fear, you will try to practice deliberately on it. When you practice deliberately on it, you will come out of it. Understood? So, you should try to, come out of those fears, pick them up, find ways to face them in the group. Find ways to face them in the group. If, suppose you have some fear, like whatever your fears you have written down, you have practiced them. Don't practice them alone. You should have a group, in front of whom you are presenting. So in a group, you will be able to understand your fears more. If a group is sitting in front of me and I am giving a presentation, what I am coming across, what are the points where I am getting nervous, what are my fears, then you will try to overcome them completely. Understood? So this is how, you can face your fears. So at the end of your presentation, what you will say to the students? Any questions? Any questions, my dear students? So here at the end of the presentations, you will always ask this, that if never end your presentation without asking questions, without welcoming questions. At the end of your presentations, welcome questions from the audience. This is the most important part which is responsible for the success of your presentation. Okay, so please welcome questions at the end of your presentation. Presenting now, what is next? Presenting your research using PowerPoint, then planning the content, presentation skills, and all these things you need to work upon and go through. Now, summary of the presentation. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the entire on the presentation skills which we have learned about today. Preparation is the key to success. Until and unless you are prepared for a thing, you will never be able to succeed. So, my dear students, it is very important to prepare your presentation. Keeping all these things in mind, prepare it. Use images, pictures, colors, bars, graphs, posters, charts. Make it little worded, less worded. Use proper fonts. Use proper number of slides. Manage your time. Make it very effective and presentable, your presentation. Practice it before you go to present it. Practice it in front of a group of people. Practice it according to the time you have, so that when you are going for the presentation, finally you will have no hesitation, no fear. You will be confident, and when you will be confident, you will be able to give a proper output of your knowledge. Understood? So practice is the key to success. Keep practicing your presentation. Watch out for tone and body language. Means, what is your body language, how the way you speak, your tone, it is very, very important. So when you are giving your presentation, it is not only your words which are speaking, it is your body language, it is your tone of voice, your which we have learnt about, your para language which is speaking, your tone, your voice, your pitch, your intonation, your pauses, everything is very, very important. Your body language, the way you dress, the way you stand, the way you use your gestures, and your eye contact, your smiling face, everything is responsible for a successful presentation. So for a presentation to be successful, you have to be presentable yourself, you have to wear dress according to the occasion, you should be comfortable with your dress, then You should use the proper body language, means a correct use of gestures and posture. And of course, apart from that, the para language, that is the tone, voice, pitch, intonation, voice modulation, the the pauses, punctuations, etc. in your speech is very, very important. Please take care of all these things at the time of presentation. Prepare them, practice them again and again. Then your PowerPoint is a compliment only, don't let it take over. So it's just a compliment. I have a PowerPoint here which is complimenting my lecture. So actually I'm explaining you all the things, but it is just there to help you to have a visual impact of what I am teaching you. So it is making my teaching more emphatic, more impactful. My teaching is becoming impactful with the help of the background of the PowerPoint presentation which I am having. But most important is me, the way I am presenting it, the way I am telling you, the way I am explaining you, the way I am having eye contact with you. All these things are very, very important. It is just complement of a PowerPoint presentation. The actual part of the presentation depends upon you, right? So PowerPoint is a complement only. Fine. Now questions are good, but prepare for them. Now there are two things. One is, what questions would you expect out of this presentation? So suppose today I am teaching you presentation skills. So I should know that in this, what kind of a questions I can expect from my audience. What are the audience, what they can ask me at the end of the session. So the possible questions of this presentation, if I prepare myself on those questions, so at the end, 90% of your 90 to 95% of your queries I will be able to solve, because I have gone through those exercises and sessions. And but I'm not prepared for the questions, and if you ask me questions on some questions, I might not answer them. I may not be able to answer you. In some questions, it may become difficult for me to answer you. So it is important that my questions should be, good. Questions, my questions, whatever question bank I have, they should be good enough to help me gain knowledge of the kind of questions asked by the audience, and at the end of the session, I can deal with them properly. Fears can be tempered with good preparation. Now, there can be fears, like I told you, fears of public speaking, nervousness, anxiety, fear of time management, and so many other fears are there. But we can overcome these fears how? Yes, very good. You can overcome these fears with the help of practice. So practice a lot, groom yourself right from today. Start from small groups, from familiar groups to unfamiliar groups, from small size groups to bigger size groups. Start from today. Start from your family members and friends, then to the unknown people, to your classmates, and then gradually you will see that a lot of your hitches, hesitations, nervousness is coming out. You are becoming very good presenters, and you are gaining a lot of confidence, and your presentation is becoming very impressive. So this is all about presentation skills which I wanted to tell you, my dear students, and I had a brief review about it. I hope you understand what is the importance of presentation skills and how you can prepare yourself to become good presenters, understand the technology which you have, and present the presentation accordingly, make it little creative, and use lot of examples, images, etc. into it to make it more interactive. So we have completed with listening skills and presentation skills. Now we go to the next thing. Yeah, and I hope you understood listening skills and presentation skills. So now we proceed to group communication. So my dear students, do you have any idea about group communication? What is group communication? What does it comprise of? Yes, you're able to guess it right. Group communication is a process of communication between a group of individuals, where a big group or a small group is present to share your thoughts and ideas. So purpose of group communication. What is the purpose of a group communication? The purpose is to share and exchange ideas and information between the or among the people of the group, and to collect information from each other. From one another, as it is always a group, and to arrive at a decision on important matters. It is also important that at the end of the group communication there has to be a decision or some conclusion of the communication, because there is a group of people, everyone will have their own ideas, their own views. So at the end of the communication process, there should be some decisions arriving where a consensus has to be taken out of the views of all the people presented in the group. Now, so what is the purpose of group communication? The first purpose is to solve any problem. When an organization is facing some problems, then always they will decide to do a proper meeting or kind of a conference, something about resolving that problem. So how a problem can be solved? A problem cannot be solved by one person individually. For this you require the group. The group will share their views, exchange their ideas, understand each other, and will arrive to a possible solution for the problem. So to solve a problem we require group communication. Second is to discuss the issues related to a particular topic in relation to the group itself or for the benefit of a larger audience. Understood? So if whatever are the issues related to that problem, then you want to discuss that topic in relation to every person of that group. What is your view? What is your view? What is your view? So keeping one problem in the center, and keeping this problem at the center, and then discussing it with relevance to each and every member of the group is important in group communication. And then to elaborate upon any work undertaken or research done in order to get the feedback. So, if some kind of a research is done, or some comprehensively we have to speak about some subject or topic, then we will need to, do some work on it. Now, group discussion. What is a group discussion? Okay, tell me can you think that, have you ever been into a group discussion? Okay, fine. Some of you have been, some of you have not been. Anyways, group discussion is important for grooming us in so many skills. And group discussion is very important for brainstorming and arriving at important decisions. Understood? So group discussion is a very, very important aspect of group communication, important way of group communication. And if you have not been a part of a group discussion, start from now. Today, understand what is group discussion and then get into group discussion process, because group discussion will help you to groom your personalities. It will help you to further, get into your career. Nowadays you will have interview rounds as well as group discussion rounds. So you need to be, groomed in group discussions also, along with your presentation skills. So what are group discussions? As you can see, group discussions are widely used in many organizations for decision making and problem solving. So what are the two main areas where group discussions will be used? One is problem solving and second is decision making. Where we want to have a group discussion, when we will like many people to come and sit together and discuss on things. We will like to have a group discussion when we want to arrive on some decisions, or when we are facing some problems, so we want the individual ideas and views of every person in the group to share with us, so that we are able to cope up that problem. So this is how, we can solve problems. Now, there are, you can see two categories of group discussion. One is organizational group discussion, and then group discussion as a selection process. So nowadays, students, when you go to companies or corporates, when you are going for a selection interview, you will have two rounds, GDPI. Have you heard about this word, GDPI? So GDPI means personal interview and group discussion. So along with the personal interview, you will be a part of the group discussion process. So through the group discussion, when you are into the excuse me, when you are into the group discussion, then the analyzer or the person who is judging the group discussion will judge you for so many skills when you are into the process of group discussion, and those skills will help you to be selected in the organization. Understood? So group discussions are done for two purposes. One is for the problem solving purpose or exchange of views in organizations, and second is for the selection process in organizations. Now, organizational group discussions, how they happen? They are by brainstorming, nominal group technique, and Delphi technique. We are going to discuss about these here. Selection process. Here it is just an integral part of the most selection processes. Today, as I told you, personal interview is definitely accompanied with a group discussion. Because through the personal interview, the company will be able to understand your knowledge of the subject, but it is through the group discussion that the company will understand your soft skills. So, the other skills which would be analyzed only based on your group discussion. So, along with your personal interview, the group discussion has also become a integral part of selection processes in most of the companies today. So, mind it, start practicing. Characteristics of group discussion. So, what are the characteristics of group discussions? We'll see some of the characteristics of group discussion. Evaluation components. So, what are the evaluation components? Knowledge. See, when you are going for a group discussion, first of all, you need to have the knowledge of the topic. If you are going for a discussion, you don't know what is the topic on which the discussion is, or you don't have the knowledge of the topic, you will not be able to speak about it. So, suppose you will say, ma'am, if we are going to the selection process, how do we know the topic? Definitely you will not be knowing the topic. That would be a topic which will be given to you on the spot, but you will have to, get involved in the group discussion. So, how you will understand that topic? So, for this, it is very important that from today, start, gathering knowledge about the various contemporary and important areas. It will improve your general knowledge. It will improve your knowledge on the subjects. So if some topics are given at the time when you go for the selection process, you will be able to get the understanding of that subject because you have started, improving your knowledge from today. But if you are not well read and you don't have knowledge of many things, so maybe you are not able to understand the topic that time. And if you don't know the topic, you don't have the knowledge, you will not be able to speak about it. Are you getting my point? So, the first and foremost or the most important thing is gathering knowledge. The most important thing is gathering knowledge about that particular topic. So, for organizations, you will be given the topics beforehand. So, you come prepared for the topics, survey on those topics, think many ideas and come for the group discussions after having a lot of, groundwork on that topic. Fine. But when you're coming for the selection process, you can only get to understand the topic or you will be able to present your topic when you will become good readers from today. Because reading only will enhance your understanding of various subjects. So generally in group discussions, they give you some topic of contemporary interest or contemporary relevance, some important subject which is prominent and important. So start, gaining knowledge on different areas of life which are, important and prominent subjects so that some subject which is given at the time of a selection process, you are able to put forward your views on that topic. Then comes your communication skills. Of course, group discussion is all about speaking and listening, and we have done mostly about both the techniques. Speaking is very important for communication as well as listening is also very important. If you are not a good speaker, you will not be able to present your views properly. If you are not a good listener, you will not be understand the discussion properly. When you are not able to understand the idea of other, how you would be able to respond to him? Then how would the discussion happen? The discussion will not happen. There would be arguments rather than a discussion. There would be a lot of problems arising between you and the other team members. Understood? So it is very important to get a enhanced comprehensive understanding or knowledge of that particular topic. Second is communication skills. I told you, understanding, speaking properly, clearly. You should be audible to the other team members. You should match your speed with the speed of understanding of the group members, and then listening. In group discussion, sometimes the students come out in the selection process and they say, my group discussion was wonderful. I will be selected because I've spoken a lot about the topic. But then he was not selected. Why? Because they see that in a group discussion, you are not only good speakers, but you are also good listeners. Because if you are only speaking, it means you are not listening to others. Then how much you will be able to respect the others in your organization later on? The company judges you on these criteria. Is he able to only speak, or he is able to take the other members of the team? Is he able to persuade them? Is he able to understand them? Is he giving them chance to speak? Is he listening to them? There are so many things you are evaluated on. They are speaking skills, they are listening skills, they are persuasive skills, they are leadership skills. There are so many skills which you are judged on in a group discussion, my dear students. Persuasive skills. Persuasion means following the other, to do a thing. So if you are able to have proper persuading skills, it means you can be a leader. A leader is a person who doesn't work himself, who works but also makes his team members work. So if a person is not speaking anything in a group, if you are making effort by asking him some questions or by pestering him to speak something, then you are a good persuader. You are able to make the other person also speak along with your speaking. So this is more important. To bring out the things from others also. Company will see, no, this person has the skills of taking along the other person. Understood? Leadership skills. How much you are able to play a lead role when in the discussion. How you are able to lead the others. Are you only speaking, or are you listening and understanding them? Are you asking the other persons to speak with you, to reply you? Are you taking the other persons into the discussion? If you are able to take most of the team into the discussion, it means you have the qualities of a leader. Who is a leader? A leader is a person who works and who also makes the team work. So if you are yourself, you are being very selfish, you are speaking about yourself. Whatever are your ideas, you are just trying to present them. You are not listening to others. You are not bothered about the feedback of others. You are not bothered about others speaking. It means you are not a good leader. The company can choose you on the basis of your knowledge, but on the basis of a group discussion, they will reject you. Because they will feel that you don't have those skills of a of a leader. Understood? The leadership skills are missing in you because you are trying to blow your own trumpet, but you are not trying to understand others. So for a group discussion, it is important. These skills are important. Active listening is important. Clarity of your ideas is very important. Apt language is very much important. And appropriateness of body language is very, very important. I hope you understand. The body language means the way you are sitting in the group discussion. Are you slouching down? Are you shrugging your shoulders? Are you looking here and there? Are you not having a proper eye contact with your other team members? If you are not having all those skills, it means that, somewhere, something is missing. Your body language has to be very attentive. You have to sit very attentively. You have to have a smiling face. You have to look into the eyes of other team members. And when you are speaking, You should see that you are having eye contact with all the team members. It is not only at one person you are, focusing on. If you are focusing only on one person on the team, the others will feel distracted. They will not be interested in your speech. So it is very, very important, my dear students, to focus on what you are speaking. Understood? And focus on the audience to whom you are speaking. Have a proper eye contact with them. App language is important. Appropriateness of body language is also very, very important.